Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional home to the Game Sports Show, Canadian franchise Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, located on 601 Great Northern Road, Sault Ste. Marie. Come in and join Boston Pizza for its numerous specials that are offered. After 9 p.m. daily, come in to Boston Pizza for $9 schooners, $4 rail drinks, and delicious food. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, you're among friends.
Booyah, and it's time for the Game Sports Show, and it's yours truly, David McCaig, and it's Thursday, May the 3rd. Here we're live at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, where we are here every Thursday, and it's myself, David McCaig, as I mentioned, and I'm going to have my usual suspect, Justin Hykel, join me in just a few moments. And we have a special guest tonight joining us as well, who's no stranger to the show. He was actually a part of the show with the Sports Center edition of the show about a year ago. He was also part of the show for the NHL expansion draft version that's on Facebook Live that you can go back to look at on my Facebook page as well. And that is Andrew Nathan, a.k.a. Tree, who is going to be joining us in just a few moments as well. But just for the next few minutes, we're going to get through the usual introduction portion here on the Game Sports Show, the Boston Pizza edition. And you're going to be hearing my voice just for the next few minutes before I bring in the fellas. Brad Cochmilio is obviously at the SR Center currently. Justin and myself were, but we obviously left the SR Center to come to Boston Pizza so we can give you the satisfaction of being a part of another great show here at Boston Pizza for the Game Sports Show. And I thank a list of additional sponsors besides Boston Pizza, which is one of our homes. There's another home that we have here on Wednesdays for the Game Sports Show. It's Sports Center Bar and Grill. And additional sponsors in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. There's North Shore Sports and Auto, The Salon, The Superior Pro Shop, Discover the Canvas, Northern Critters in Need, Northern Signs, and Big Brother, Big Sister, Sault Ste. Marie. Also, Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, another home to the Game Sports Show on Mondays, The Wicked Sister, and also in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, Pingator Cleaners. And much thanks to those sponsors for being a part of the Game Sports Show. You can listen to the Game Sports Show for previous editions of the show, and make sure you follow the Game Sports Show on going to the gamesportshow.podbean.com. Very simple. You can access that right on the app that you can download on the App Store or Play Store or whatever application database that you have to download on your phone, whatever type of phone you have. If you still have a BlackBerry, there is still an application manager that you can look into, and that's downloading the Podbean app. And again, it's the gamesportshow.podbean.com. You can also go to our website, www.thegamesportshow.com, and you can listen to previous episodes as well and get linked directly to the Podbean page. And make sure you keep an eye on, because I said this week the shirts are going to be launched, and the logo launch is going to be this week, and the front page of the website will finally be complete as well, with our model pictures finally getting released, which were taken here on March the 30th at Boston Pizza. And listen, those are some good damn pictures, must say myself. You know, I don't know which one was the best looking guy. I think we should get the listeners out here to definitely let us know who you think the best looking guy was in those pictures. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's not a competition. But for the GameSportsShow.com, that will be on the front page, and you can access Podbean on that page, and also all the different shows that we have at the Wicked Sister, Sports Center, and at Boston Pizza. So, fellas, I'm going to bring you on in before I state what the agenda is going to be for tonight. To my left is Justin Hykel. Justin, 24 hours ago, we were at Sports Center Bar and Grill talking the NFL post-draft analysis on our off-season in the pocket edition, and a little bit of the NBA with the Toronto Raptors, who actually dropped Game 2 today, going down 0-2 to Cleveland. Now, not like we predicted at Sports Center yesterday. Well, like I predicted. I know you predicted that the Raptors might be behind the 8 ball, but you didn't say it because you wanted to keep the happiness of the Toronto fans. But they go back down there, so it's 24 hours since you and I have seen each other. Lots happened already in the sports world. We got lots to talk about tonight. How you doing today, sir?
Well, I'm here. Another day in paradise, you know, getting one day closer to the weekend. This Greyhounds game's got me a little stressed right now. It's like the Leafs last week, and then the Greyhounds got me back in it again this week. My heart's going to have a rough go.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you and I were at the SR Center today, packed. The street party was going on. It was absolutely amazing, and it's very great to see the city come together for that. And the guy who's a special guest tonight, and you know what, he is on the staff list of the Game Sports Show. Much people may have forgotten, but he's still a part of the show. Andrew Nathan Tree is what I'm going to be calling him throughout the entirety of the show. So just so you don't get confused, his name is Andrew Nathan, but I am going to be calling him Tree because that's the most easiest. He is wearing a Boston Bruins hat currently in front of Justin and I right now. A little bit hurtful, but Tree, besides that and that brutal apparel you have on your head, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good. It's good to be back. It's been a while. I think you mentioned it earlier in the intro. It's been about a year, just shy of a year, and I always have a fun time talking hockey with you guys. So glad to be back.
Absolutely. It's definitely a great time when you're on, and we have a big list of panel members that obviously includes the regulars with myself, Justin, Scott Nason, Brad Cochimilio, Dane Hantro, Jamie Antonello, but then we have guys like Dustin Granu who come on as much as they can, Tree that come on as much as they can as well, and you know, it's great to have the cast that we have, Butch Davis and EJ Russell over on the American side. And obviously can't forget the guy who is the heartbeat of the show, truly, Scott Nason, whom is our board operator tonight. And obviously to Lauren, the great waitress, the beautiful Lauren that we have bringing us the Molson products here at Boston Pizza, where you're among friends and enjoying some delicious food, where it's a packed house as always. And of course, can't forget the bringer of beer, Mitch Wilson. Definitely love that nickname. I can never get over that nickname. We got to get him a personalized shirt that says that. But fellas, tonight, to get to the agenda, what we're going to be discussing here is the MLB with the Toronto Blue Jays quickly before we go to break. When we come back from break, we're going to be talking about the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds and the OHL playoffs, along with Drew Bannister. Accolades getting a Coach of the Year honors this year, that we're going to discuss that briefly, and then we'll have another break where when we come back for the third part of the show, we are going to have NHL playoff discussion along with some Toronto Maple Leaf discussion. And Justin, you have showed me sources from Boston that have stated some interesting rumors when it comes to the Toronto Maple Leafs GM front. Not sure if it's believable, but something that we will most certainly discuss later on in the show. Fellas, to jump right into it right now with the MLB and the Toronto Blue Jays specifically. The Toronto Blue Jays had an 11-inning game. You know, the game was supposed to start earlier today at 1 o'clock. It was delayed, and they're having a doubleheader, and they're currently in action right now on the doubleheader in Cleveland. They won the first game 13-11, and while we sit here and discuss, they are in that second game, as I was mentioning. Josh Donaldson really showing that he is back to form. He comes up and goes 3 for 7 with a home run, a couple doubles, and a couple RBIs. Your Graner Solarte literally does not know how to dive to third base, it seems like, as he's wearing a bandage on the top of his lips, as after running for third base. He looked like Baker back in the 90s in the pitcher for the Blue Jays slid, and he didn't even make it to first on his slide. Solarte, much fun comical act right there on behalf of Solarte, but the Jays coming away ultimately with a 13-11 win. I guess it's safe to say there's a lot of offense in that game, and Solarte hitting a clutch grand slam in the top of the 11th inning, making up for that horrific slide at third base earlier in the game. Currently in the second game right now, what we are discussing, as we did figure that the second game would be concluded before we started the show tonight, but obviously it is not. So the Jays are up 2-1 in the top of the fourth, and we'll keep you updated with that as we go potentially with the show. And by the time maybe when we're done the show, we are going to have a final score in that one for you. And currently in that game, you have Yvonne Solarte, who's been a big part of that team, playing well, and he's playing that doubleheader. Josh Donaldson homered to center field in the fourth inning there, so he's got home runs twice today. Josh Donaldson is eager to get back in the action, and that shoulder is looking great, and he is playing hungry right now. And the Jays right now being 18-13 after winning this afternoon earlier, they have the chance to be 19-13 and have a chance to sweep the Cleveland Indians, which would be fantastic. And I must say, it's still very weird to see Edwin Encarnacion in a Cleveland Indian jersey, but whom is having a very good season in Cleveland. But the big thing, Justin, I'm going to bring you on in with this comment quickly as we talk about the Blue Jays. Josh Donaldson getting back into the lineup. That's huge. That is massive. We have someone else named Troy Tulowitzki who is out of the lineup still with being on the DL, which he is like a lot. And he's still a little bit of ways away before he returns. But the Blue Jays had good success, even without Donaldson. Decent success to good, may I say, actually. And you know what? They're a team that was above 500 before his return. Now with him coming back in the lineup, puts a lot of power back in that order, puts a lot of good defense back in that infield, a defense that did very well even in his absence, with Lourdes Gurriel subbing in, with Yvonne Solarte doing well. You have Armandez Diaz, you have guys that are playing extremely well, and obviously you got the king in center field out there with Kevin Pillar. The Blue Jays are an all-around team, and that's what they promised this year. The question marks was in that bullpen. And the starting pitching was supposed to be the big thing. Marcus Stroman, who's had a lot of struggles out of the gate, and Yami Garcia allowing a lot of long balls. The offense and some of those pitching on the staff, including J.A. Happ, has come through. But having Josh Donaldson come back to the lineup is definitely a huge addition. Goes without saying, don't you think?
Well, I think we touched on it last week. We just with the way the Jays roster has been playing right now, kind of with that what everyone in the offseason viewed as like a piecemeal roster. They weren't really sure what it was going to do. And then Donaldson goes down, Tulo goes down, and people are, S&Bs, not really able to figure out what are the Jays going to do, and here they are at 500. So
6 games above.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna be,
6 games above right now. And so you knew when Donaldson was reinserted into the lineup again, you knew that he was going to be more than ready to come back, because you can't put a guy back in the lineup who's not going to be able to play up to snuff with the guys right now. Like, the Jays are playing good ball. Like, it's above average baseball for the Toronto. I'm surprised still at the Jays roster. I mean, I'm one of these people. I'm pretty sure last week I said, most people shouldn't be surprised, but game after game, they kind of fascinate me. Because every game I learn that there's a new player on the roster. Like, there's just someone I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Or maybe I have and I just haven't paid attention.
They have a
but
deep roster.
A couple too many Molson products for the end of the game. But no, definitely Donaldson coming back in is a nice charge to the lineup, and I mean, who wouldn't want Donaldson coming back in? But
exactly.
No, it's good for the Jays, and it's nice to see. I mean, today it's obviously been a pretty good success. 2 homers so far. How did that back-to-back game thing? It's got to be tough.
Oh, it is. And the Blue Jays have played 20 games over 18 days, I believe is what it was about 16 days ago, due to the delays and the postponements and all that between Cleveland and all that, and with the collapse at the Rogers Center with the roof, with the ice falling on top of the roof, having to play a doubleheader.
Not a collapse, it was a leak.
It was a leak. It was a leak. But with having Donaldson in the lineup, a lot of time to rest and get ready for those games, and putting him into this game right away, I think is fantastic. Can he play these 2 games back to back, get him game ready right away? He said he's ready. He told people to actually stop talking about his arm being dead, because he says he's back to 100%. He feels. I mean, he made a couple plays today. He didn't get Rajay Davis out at first with a nice throw, but you know what? That arm has the power back. And when you have someone like that, that's that dominant of a player, if not one of the best players in baseball, especially defensively and as an all-around player, it's a big addition to have. And Yogranis Solarte, what a big year he is having so far. Man, handling the ball out of the ballpark. It's impressive. It's fantastic, and it's amazing to see how deep this team is. Essentially. And Trey, just to go to you quickly with it, Blue Jays. People had them predicted to be a wild card team this year. A lot of people either had them as a wild card team or as a team that was not making it. And do you think
best case scenario wild card?
Yes.
Worst case scenario complete trash fire.
Exactly. That was the 2 sides of it.
Yeah.
Seeing it this way into the season right now, is this showing that they are a wild card team, or is it still too early? Because it's a 162 game season. Okay, we're 28 games. That would be what's 19 plus? Be 18 plus 13. Quick math, 31. 31 games in to the season. 32 after the conclusion tonight.
And this is coming from a guy. I'll be perfectly honest. Honesty is the best policy. I haven't watched 1 second of baseball this season. Yeah. I usually catch it around the midway point, but
more of a media watch guy.
This is from a fan from the outside looking in. Like, I like kind of taking part in these conversations because I don't watch everything. I like hearing that they're a more developed team than they once were. It sounds like the talent is more evenly spread out across the field. Saying that, but they're nowhere from perfect. You said their pitching is kind of.
It's supposed to be the top 10 in the league, right? But some guys are struggling.
All right. Every team has problems.
Yes.
But it's nice to hear that they can play without some veterans.
Yes.
They could learn. Good teams play when guys get hurt. Great teams win when guys get hurt. And if they can do it if they learn how to play without these guys, that's a good sign that if anybody goes down, they don't miss a beat. No. They're going to still be winning games over the 500 mark. Great sign.
Absolutely.
Great sign.
And for Toronto baseball, we were starving for success for 20 years, and we've had it the past, except last year, obviously, we didn't make the playoffs. But we've been starving for the past 3 years getting into the playoffs. And we had a couple deep runs that we didn't get there. And the problem was we ran into a good bullpen with both Kansas City and with Cleveland. And we did not play small ball, where Cleveland beat us with small ball back when we were playing Cleveland and Andrew Miller. That's who came out of the bullpen against the Toronto Blue Jays and defeated the Toronto Blue Jays in the last playoff run. But at the end of the day, the Toronto Blue Jays have a team that's all around. The bullpen is buying in right now. Believe it or not, the bullpen's doing a good job where there's a lot of question marks, so they're actually doing a very, very good job. But a lot of the onus and a lot of the credit has to go, and I can't believe that I've said this because I've had a lot of doubts with Gibby, but I got to give it to Gibby. Right now, Gibby is managing this team perfectly, has the tools to put guys out there, and as Tree just attested to, they're deep. They're an all-around team. They're sporadic talent.
Just to jump in, I like you brought up small Cleveland. Cleveland beat us with small ball tactics.
Yeah,
and I liked all the energy that hitting a lot of home runs, like
that they used
the bat
to do
flip.
all the time. Yeah.
It's emotional.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah,
but fundamentally, it's risky.
yes.
If you stop hitting those home runs, the game gets a lot harder for you. Yeah. Whereas if you can chip away 2 runs, 1
Couple
run,
singles, take walks.
yeah, if you just find ways to get guys on base and get runs home, you're a much better team that should go farther in a playoff scenario. So I like to think that the mentality is starting to hit a pivotal point, a pivotal change from the top to the bottom, and I think the team is going to be way better for it.
Absolutely. You know what? They're still hitting home runs. Okay, this is still, but they're not just a home run team like they used to be. They're an all-around team, which is fantastic. And right now, that's hard in Cleveland, playing a doubleheader in brutal weather conditions right now in Cleveland, with the rainy, the coldness. It's when it rains, it's cold. When you get rained on and it's still not summertime, it's cold. It's chilly in Cleveland. Okay, it's not Miami, Florida. It's not L.A. Okay, they're not the Rogers Center with a dome. Okay, but at the end of the day, the Jays are in tough conditions and they're playing some good baseball. Now they're not 19-13 yet. Okay, they're not 6 games officially up yet, but they're in that 5+ game range right now where I expected them to be potentially, and they have to maintain this because that's a deep AL. If you look at Seattle, you look at Oakland, you look at the Yankees and Boston who are going to be battling for the AL East, period. You have the Astros, you have the Los Angeles Angels. There's a lot of teams, and each top division goes, then you have 2 wild cards. Okay, so essentially you might have the Red Sox, you might have the Astros, and then maybe you're going to have the, let's say, Cleveland Indians win the other division. That's just figuratively saying right now. Then there's only 2 more spots that are open. You have to battle that with the Yankees. You have to battle that with the Angels. You have to battle that with the Oakland Athletics or Mariners, who are having a good season thus far. And I'll get to the Mariners in just a few moments, as one player who's a legendary hitter moved to the front office today. But a lot of the Jays have to win these games, which was the problem last year. They went 9-21 on the first 30 games out of the gate. They're much better off than what they were last year. And these are big games because they get hot in the summer. They always have that 10+ game winning streak every year. They always find a way. To have a good start was big, and they've had a decent to good start, which is important for them to get in that conversation of getting into that wild card. Which, let's get real, the Yankees and Red Sox are going to be the top 2 teams comes the AL. One of those teams is going to be a wild card. So you might be battling for that last wild card with the Mariners, with even the White Sox if they get the White Sox, the Athletics if they get hot, the Los Angeles Angels, those are the types of teams that you're going to be battling with it, and the Jays have to keep up and contend. But the Blue Jays, they still have a long way to go this season, and I'm hoping Marcus Stroman gets back to form. You as the listeners, do you think Marcus will get back to form 100%? And are you concerned about Yami Garcia's long ball issues? He let a lot of long balls up, and today he let out a couple in Cleveland. Is that an issue? And listen, Aaron Sanchez, J.A. Happ. I'm bought with J.A. Happ right now, one of the top AL leaders in strikeouts. The guy has been clutch so far this year. Hopefully he can keep that up for that big left-handed starting pitcher who's a veteran now. Obviously been in the league quite a long time. He's the veteran guy on this rotation, and he can set the tone and be that diamond in the rough where you expect Sanchez and Stroman to be the guys to win you games all the time. I'm hoping Stroman gets back to form 100%, because if he gets back to form and you have 3, and with Marco Estrada and being that 4th guy in there that wins ball games with his changeup, if you have 4 pitchers that are on their game, the way they're playing right now at least, they're going to make a lot of noise and be even a top wildcard team, let alone a second-place wildcard team. Very interesting to see what happens the rest of the year and what the trade deadline will bring, too, with Donaldson's expiring contract. And speaking of someone expiring in terms of in Major League Baseball, Ichiro Suzuki, one of the greatest hitters of all time, retiring today and joining the front office of the Seattle Mariners. You know, he's 40-plus years old, Ichiro is, and he has had a tremendous career over in Japan, you know, coming back over here and getting 3,000-plus hits, playing to the age that he did, one of the fastest players to ever run the baseline. Definitely got to give him a shout-out. Congratulations to a terrific career, and he's going to be a great front office guy and potentially management position one day, and I'm sure Seattle will be the team that he stays with, as he's been Seattle. He's been bleeding that green, blue, and white with Seattle ever since he started. Even though he's moved to Miami, he's moved around to the Yankees, and he's done different things, his heart truly lies in Seattle, and that's where he wants to stay and probably will stay. It'd be very interesting to see what it comes out of his administrative career or his management or his front office career, but definitely as a baseball player, he's definitely owed respect, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer for sure. Fellas, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to enjoy these Molson products and some Zog, get some food into our stomachs, because we hungry. I know Hyke's hungry. You're hungry, dude.
I'm always hungry.
You're always hungry. Tree, you hungry?
I could eat.
You can eat.
I could eat.
Guaranteed.
He's a growing tree.
He is a growing tree. He's like Groot from Avengers Infinity War. And like I said on yesterday's show, if you haven't seen Avengers Infinity War, get your ass to the theaters. Like, I'm not even kidding. If you haven't seen that movie, I don't know if you live under a rock or if you've been on a trip or something, because there's no excuse why you haven't seen that movie. Just say. Or, like, I don't know what it is. If you don't believe in Marvel movies, even if you haven't seen any of the other movies, well, you should see all the other 20 movies. But you got to get out there and watch that movie. It's still boggling my mind. I'm even talking about it on radio right now. I got to get to break. Producers are in my ears. We'll be right back after these messages. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds and the OHL playoffs. Their success getting to the finals of the Rogers OHL Championship Cup against the Hamilton Bulldogs. We'll have plenty to say. And later on the show, don't forget, we'll have NHL playoffs and Maple Leafs discussion with some pretty funny news and rumors coming out of the Toronto Maple Leafs GM search front. Don't go anywhere. Right back after hearing from our sponsors.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional home to the Game Sports Show, Canadian franchise Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza Sault Ste. Marie, located on 601 Great Northern Road, Sault Ste. Marie. Come in and join Boston Pizza for its numerous specials that are offered. After 9 p.m. daily, come in to Boston Pizza for $9 schooners, $4 rail drinks, and delicious food. Boston Pizza Sault Ste. Marie, you're among friends.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto, we understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsoo.as.me-. The Salon, making the Soo beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Superior Pro Shop. The Superior Pro Shop, located inside a Community First Credit Union Superior Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Munro. Superior Pro Shop, for over 40 years, meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful, new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today.
Hi, this is Joe Bowen, and you're listening to the Game Sports Show from Sault Ste. Marie.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. It's yours truly, David McCaig, alongside Andrew Nathan, a.k.a. Tree, and, of course, Justin Hykel. And, fellas, while we were on break, the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds and Hamilton Bulldogs Game 1 of the OHL Finals came to conclusion, and it came out on the side of a losing end for our Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, losing the score 4-3. Hamilton scoring in the first overtime period, and the Hounds are down 1-0 in the series as Game 2 will commence on Saturday at the SR Center. Now, Justin, The Hounds were down 3-0 in this game. Came back, tied the game at threes. Late in the third, they came back and completed the comeback. Forced an overtime. In a game, to be totally honest, Hamilton outplayed them in the first period, outshooting them 14-6. The second period, the Hounds had Hamilton back on their toes. And for the third period, I felt the game was evenly matched. The Hounds were shorthanded to begin the third period. We thought that double-minded might come back to haunt them. It didn't. They battled back. Good teams try to find ways to get back in the games or find ways to win. Obviously, this good team did not find a way to win tonight in overtime with Villalta, letting in a goal that people may call shaky here at Boston Pizza. Thought it was a shaky goal, but to be honest, it was a hard slap shot that just trickled through his legs. He thought he had it. And Hamilton Bulldogs player number 44, Mackenzie Entwistle, got the goal for the Hamilton Bulldogs. And look, got to say, number 44 there in the Hamilton colors with Mackenzie Entwistle had 2 goals. Another guy, Rob Thomas. And no, not the individual who sings Someday. Rob Thomas, first-round draft pick to the St. Louis Blues, had a great game, and he finished with third-star honors. And Rob Thomas was a 1 goal, 1 assist for a +2 in the night, and he was 21 for 32 on faceoffs. Very impressive stat. And Mackenzie Entwistle being the first star. Second star came from your Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, Barrett Hayton. So first star again was Mackenzie Entwistle. Second star, Barrett Hayton. Round up with the third star, Rob Thomas. The Hounds losing 4-3 in overtime. Now, the Hounds, Hamilton. This is the finals that everybody predicted would happen in the OHL. The Hounds met a good matchup today against Hamilton. I've talked to many different scouts in the area, many different experts in the world of sports, saying how the Hamilton Bulldogs either can't contend with the Hounds or people saying how they're equally matched. And what I saw out there today was a very equally matched teams against one another. Okay, and I saw the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds get outmanned, outplayed in the first period, but I also saw the Greyhounds do that to the Hamilton. It is going to be a very evenly matched series. This is a series that I've said, and we've said since the start on the Game Sports shows, it's going to be a 7-game series, which will be 3 straight consecutive Game 7 series for the Hounds, may I add. But Hamilton is a team that is well depth. We talked about it earlier on the show in baseball references. We talked about the Jays being well-rounded. We're going to talk about in the NHL about teams that are well-rounded. Teams that are well-rounded and have good, smart defense along with good goaltending, that's what wins you championships. Not just the star-studded forwards. It's that smart play and your special teams that come out and advantage you in the playoffs. And the Hounds making that big kill there, had momentum, and got that tying goal, but going to overtime and allow a goal that, like I said, people thought may have been shaky, may have not been shaky. I don't think it was. The hard slap shot did trickle through his legs. But again, the Hamilton Bulldogs player, Mackenzie Entwistle, was at the right spot at the right time in the dirty areas. And those are the type of players that get you those big goals, grind in those dirty areas, and put that puck in the net to get Hamilton the 4-3 victory. Justin, do the Hounds have any need to be worried going into Game 2, or do you think the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds are just going to come back as business as usual? And how important is it to win Game 2 to go back to Hamilton to be tied 1-1 opposed to being down 2-0?
Well, I mean, I think they just got to, the game's over, shake it off, it's done, let's move forward. Like I was saying to Tree, just in the intermission, when we were on break there, the Greyhounds have, aside from the first series, they've pretty well, I believe, gone to 7 games in every series, haven't they?
Except Series 1.
Yeah, except for Series 1.
Yeah.
And how many of these games have they played in overtime?
Lots. Good amount.
Like, these guys, it almost seems like Don Cherry going off on them was a curse. Because now they're afraid to put away teams. And that's, I'm not saying tonight, I'm just saying, in the previous 2 series, it seems like they just don't have that next level to keep going. And tonight they looked tired in the first. They started to come around in the second, and by the third, they were evenly matched.
The Hounds did outshoot them 10-3, but there weren't high-quality chances.
No, and I think the first 2 games in the series are kind of going to be these teams feeling each other out. Because if I'm not mistaken, they met each other, twice in the regular season? And they split the series?
That's a good question, actually.
I think they split the series. So they really don't know each other, aside from the game tape they've watched on each other. And playoff hockey's a totally different, brand of hockey than what you're going to see in the regular season to begin with. Especially now that both these teams have made it to the championship round. They're totally different teams than what they would have seen in the regular season against each other. I think the Hounds are a little tired, and I think Hamilton's a little, obviously more well-rested than them. So that played into at the very least, the first period tonight.
With the Hounds, they, like I said, they outshot them in the third 10-3, but the quality of chances, and it seems like a lot of players are trying to do a bit too much, and this is now a series where a lot of the guys have to buy in. And Boris Kachuk was getting extremely frustrated on the ice today after a couple giveaways. He did score a nice goal. He had a lot of chances. He was getting around the net shorthanded, especially. But this is not the team that the Hounds beat February the 16th, 10-0. Okay? February the 16th, the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds beat Hamilton 10-0 here at the SR Center. When the Hounds went back to Hamilton, they lost. They were in Hamilton prior to that. They lost 5-2. So Sunday, February the 11th, they were in Hamilton. It was 5-2. They came back here February the 16th, 5 days later, and shellacked Hamilton 10-0. Okay? The Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds got to realize this is not the regular season against the Hamilton Bulldogs. I'm not saying that they're not underestimating their opponents. I think the Hounds know who they were playing. I think they know that 10-0 game was something that will never happen again against this kind of quality of team. But I feel the Hounds are getting tested on a different level than what Owen Sound and what Kitchener tested them to. I think the Hounds are in a different monster right now than what they did in the last two series. And obviously in a complete different situation than what they were in the first series against Saginaw after sweeping Saginaugh and beating them by a large margin within the first 3 of the 4 games at least. And as Don Cherry would say, those damn hot dogs. But the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds have to win on Saturday. They cannot go back to Steeltown, Hamilton. The battle of the Steel Towns right now. They cannot go back to Hamilton down 2-0. Because this is a good hockey team, Hamilton is. Just like the Greyhounds. I think the Hounds have a bit more all-around firepower. But Villalta, he's hit and miss right now. He is. Truly, he is. This is a third-round pick of the Kings who signed an entry-level deal with the Kings. Congratulations to Villalta. Okay? And we're going to get to Drew Bannister's accolades with the award today that he's going to get in just a few moments. But the thing the Hounds have to do in this first period and the next game is come out hot. Come out banging bodies. Come out using all 4 lines. Shoot the puck. Crash the net. Don't dangle through the zone. Don't make silly passes in the middle of the ice. Make the simple play. Chip it off the boards. Use your speed. Go wide. And use your size as well that they have up front with some guys like Kachuk. And let that quick release go. Play the simple game that was giving you success all year, and you will come out on top of that game. They have to go back to Hamilton tied at 1, as the Hounds have been very much troublesome on the road in the playoffs. They didn't win at home. They didn't win on the road last series at all in Kitchener. A very loud atmosphere in Kitchener. And let me tell you, Hamilton's going to be the same way. This is a team that used to ice a full-capacity AHL team and fans. Fans are going to go out to this finals. Fans are going to watch. It's going to be a very loud atmosphere. It's going to be louder than what it was in Kitchener. Okay? The success they had on the road was obviously against Saginaw. And Owen Sound, they struggled on the road. I believe the right statistic was they won 1 in Owen Sound. They go to Kitchener, they lose all 3. So they're right now they're 2-4 in the playoffs on the road right now. And I don't remember what the all-time for the last 5 years or so has been at the top of my head, but the Hounds have not been successful on the road. And the teams that win are the teams that win on the road, and the team to win the first on the road usually wins the series 75% of the time. And look who won the first game on the road in the series. So the Hounds are behind the 8 ball to start. They got to use their talent. They're not out. Absolutely not. This team, it's very difficult to beat the Hounds in a 7-game series. It is, but teams have pushed them to 7 in the last couple series. I'm very interested to see what happens for the rest of the series and how the Hounds react in Game 2. Trey, what's big for the Hounds in general? Is it change the mentality, or is this just the first game, move forward, move on, do what you've been doing?
First and foremost, you can't change the past. You move on. You don't get hung up on this. You battled back. Valiant effort.
Yes.
Good job on that. Yes, it would have been nice to win the first game, but when your team doesn't start at the beginning, when your team doesn't start playing hockey at the drop of the puck and the other team does, you're playing a difficult game of hockey.
You're uphill battle all game.
Seriously.
Literally an uphill battle all game.
And 3 goals down in the first period, battle back to make it an OT game. You got to feel a little good. And when I saw the goal that they let in was a bit of a squeaker.
Yeah. It's borderline soft. Should we say that borderline soft? Is that respectful to say? I'm not sure if that is, but
in my religion, you never trash the goalie.
yeah.
So you kiss his butt and you basically, whatever, man. I can never do what you do.
Absolutely
So
no.
do what you have to do to get that monkey off your back and don't dwell on it. Having said that, when I watched the goal, it just looked awkward. Yeah, it looked soft, but the puck basically went from sideboard to slap shot on net. That's a lot of ground for a goalie to cover. He was kind of in a blind. The shooter was in an awkward spot.
And he didn't have to stick down and sweep through his legs.
So it's a goalie's blind spot. He's got to get all the way over. He got a piece of it. It just went through. I hate to say it, but it's kind of on the defenseman's. It's more the defenseman's fault than the goaltender's fault, in my mind. He should have been picking up bodies in front of the net, and he should have just knocked the puck out. But whatever, it's an OT.
Yeah,
there's no such thing as a bad shot in overtime. Pucks on net ended the game very quickly into OT for the Hamilton. Good on him. Don't lose game 2. If Hamilton's already done their job, you want a split. You want at least a split, and then go back home.
Where you have 2 games where you can win 2.
Yeah, you feel good. You're ahead of the 8 ball instead of behind the 8 ball. So in order for the Greyhounds to feel good about themselves, they have to win.
You don't want to lose confidence going to Hamilton down 2-0 first, seriously, for sure. But it's going to be interesting as myself and Justin will be at the game on Saturday. We're going to be there early, 5 o'clock, for our media passes down there. We're going to have pre-game analysis. We're going to be watching the game, then we're going to have our post-game analysis with interviews and hopefully reactions of positive from Coach Drew Bannister and the players. So make sure you keep an eye out for myself and Justin Hykel at Game 2 with our fancy attire and our media passes. Very exciting to see the Game Sports Show, part of the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds on a media basis. I'm very excited to be able to work with the Greyhounds going forward into next year. That being said, speaking of the Soo Greyhounds, Drew Bannister, Coach of the Year honors in the OHL after a 55-win season. Much as I would say, as a work colleague of mine, Gino Covello, was saying how Drew Bannister will have very limited time in the OHL. Somebody that will be moving up, in my opinion. Somebody who's a very good coach. He knows exactly how to coach. He had a good team right now that he was able to ice every night here with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. But he is a very good coach and a very good professional. And the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds have been a winning organization for the last handful of years, making the playoffs and rebuilding that organization. And Bannister has a lot to do with that, along with Kyle Dubas. Let's go back in time to the Kyle Dubas there. But right now, Drew Bannister is doing his job as a coach. And you know what? I definitely trust in him to get the job done in Game 2, to put the guys out in the right situation, maybe calm his guys down to get the best effort out of his guys in Game 2. Congratulations to Drew Bannister. Well-deserved on a 55-win game season, for sure. Hand claps, finger snaps, whatever way you want to give him a little ovation there. Congratulations on the new Coach of the Year, Drew Bannister of your Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. Fellas, we're going to take a quick break. Again, we're going to refresh our mouths here on the Molson products, a little bit of pizza. And you know what? We're going to be discussing, when we come back, the National Hockey League. We're going to be discussing the Toronto Maple Leafs. And like I said, make sure you get out to the SR Center to watch the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds in Game 2 at 7:07. When we come back, after hearing from our sponsors, a little bit of NHL and Leafs talk, so don't go away. It's Dave McCaig alongside Justin Hykel and Andrew Nathan.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional home to the Game Sports Show, Canadian franchise Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, located on 601 Great Northern Road, Sault Ste. Marie. Come in and join Boston Pizza for its numerous specials that are offered. After 9 p.m. daily, come in to Boston Pizza for $9 schooners, $4 rail drinks, and delicious food. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, you're among friends.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sports Center Bar and Grill. Sports Center Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sports Center rated top sports bar for the second year in a row. At Sports Center, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sports Center Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar.
Thank you for tuning in to the Game Sports Show, broadcasting Thursday nights from Boston Pizza in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and online at thegamesportshow.podbean.com. I hope you're enjoying the broadcast. Now, if you want to hear more of the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national talk show involving the world of sports, I encourage you to visit our website, thegamesportshow.com. There you can hear a couple other broadcasts of the Game Sports Show. Monday nights, we do the game from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street in downtown Sioux, Michigan, 6 to 7 o'clock on the radio. WUPN, Eagle 95.1 locally, or online at radioeaglesioux.com. Now, the full 2-hour show can be heard on the podcast page of the game at thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or you can go to our YouTube channel. Just look for Scott Nason. In that one, as yours truly, along with Dave McCaig and our weekly contributors, Butch Davis from the Telegram News and Butch on Sports, along with EJ Russell on the Team Wireless Hot Seat. We focus on local, regional, and national sports, including high school basketball and hockey, junior hockey, Laker athletics, and the Detroit sports scene. And Mr. Electric Avenue, Dave McCaig, also broadcasts a show on Wednesday night from Sports Center Bar and Grill in Sioux, Ontario, along with his regular contributors, Jamie Antonello, Justin Hykel, and Dane Hantro. They focus on football with their In the Pocket segment, talking about the NFL along with basketball and the NBA, and other sports including tennis, golf, soccer, and the WWE. Once again, you can hear all 3 versions of the game at our website, thegamesportshow.com, or our podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. You can also find us on YouTube. Just look for the Scott Nason channel. And thank you for listening, and keep it locked here to the game for all your local, regional, and national sports talk that you just can't get enough of.
Get Wicked Catering from the crew at the Wicked Sister.
We like to think of ourselves as foodies. While our favorite foods are paired with a beer tasting at the Wicked Sister, you can now have the same creative menu for your next catered business luncheon, family get-together, wedding, or holiday party. Our white truffle risotto appeals to your gluten-free and vegetarian guests. Add sautéed shrimp or freshly grilled chicken for a pop of protein. Or let us build you a custom menu to suit your needs. From plated events of 15 to buffets for 200, the Wicked Sister will cater your event with tapas, snacks, cravables, or a full sit-down dinner.
The Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
Hi, this is Paul Maurice from the Winnipeg Jets, and you're listening to the Game Sports Show.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. It's yours truly, David McCaig, here live at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, where we've been for the night. Been alongside Justin Hykel and Andrew Nathan, a.k.a. Tree. I almost want to call him Groot, if you want to go back to the Infinity War, but I don't think he likes Groot. I think you're just going to stick to Tree. But, fellas, tonight we've had the great show as we always do. It's been a great atmosphere here at Boston Pizza as always. We've had the baseball talk. We've talked about the Greyhounds who dropped Game 1 of the Rogers OHL Championship Series. But you know what? Still a long series there. So now we're going to jump into the meat and potatoes of the show in terms of the NHL aspect and the Toronto Maple Leaf discussion, which is now an off-season discussion for myself, Justin, and the crew. But to give a little update in terms of the National Hockey League playoffs, you got the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Boston Bruins. Tampa Bay is up in the series 2-1 after a 4-1 victory over the Boston Bruins last night. And Vegas and the San Jose Sharks are tied at 2s, with San Jose winning 4-0. And I must say, LA put a tweet out there today. It was on social media, chirping Vegas about getting shut out. And then Vegas responded saying, yeah, we lost 4-0, much like our series to you. Wow. Boom roasted. Spitting Chiclets and Barstool were all over that. I was licking my chops. You were just saying that's tasty. I love how LA said, yeah, you guys, I don't recall the reference that they used to the Minion Lord, the evil Minion dude. I forget his name, and I apologize to the Minion fans out there, or the...
Isn't it Gru?
Is it Gru? Is that what it is? No. It's Gru. So Gru, it might be close to that, but they referenced him, but in terms of how they got shut out 4-0, and I love Vegas' response. 4-0, yep, just like how we beat you in the series by that score. Love it. Where's Los Angeles now? Not just golfing. They're literally feeling the spice coming out of their rear end right now. That's all I got to say to that. So that series is at 2s, tied at 2s. Tonight, currently while we are discussing, Pittsburgh Penguins completed their game against the Washington Capitals, defeating them 3-1, tying that series at 2. And currently in action while we discuss, the Nashville Predators are up 1-0 over the Winnipeg Jets, as the Jets are up 2-1 after a great comeback in their last meeting after being down 3-0. And that building erupted. And Bufflin had himself one of a heck of a game, and the Winnipeg Jets took a 2-1 series lead going into tonight, and a pivotal Game 4. There's a pivotal Game 4 and Game 5. I feel both games are equally as pivotal for teams to either get back in a series or take a commanding lead. If the Jets win tonight, they go up 3-1 going back to Nashville, but obviously if Nashville wins, they tie the series at 2s going back to the Bridgestone Arena in a very loud and electrifying Nashville arena. But I must say, the Great White North of Winnipeg, that fan base is absolutely phenomenal. They had, I forget, over 50,000 in the streets, I believe it was.
41,000, I think, was the count.
41,000 people in the streets cheering on the Winnipeg Jets in the Great White North.
The rest of Winnipeg was in the rink.
And yes, there was nobody at work. There was nobody at home. If you tried to reach somebody at home in Winnipeg, they were either in the street or at the arena, at the Bell MTS Center in Winnipeg. And it's such a great fan base, such a great story for Winnipeg getting back into the league and having, the first time they got in the playoffs, they got swept by the Ducks. They've had not really had any success in the playoffs since coming back in the league. Now, being in the second round against Nashville, a team that is equally as good as them. These are the top 2 teams in the National Hockey League, and especially from the West side, top 2 teams from the West. Nashville having the 1-0 lead. This game's not over. In a matter of 2 minutes, this game can change. In a matter of a game, this whole series can change. And Winnipeg has been fantastic on forward, on defense, and in goal. Same as Nashville. This has been as hype as the series has been anticipated to be. The most exciting series to point, with second place being the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Boston Bruins, of course, being the second best series currently in the playoffs up to date. But this series between Nashville and Winnipeg, what better hockey can we see other than this, Justin? There's not much better hockey that we can see other than this.
No, this is, both series out of the West have been amazingly entertaining. It's the Vegas series is just so fast, and this Winnipeg-Nashville series is just, it's so bloody physical. Like that game the other night where Winnipeg was down 3 goals, and then it's just like they came out and they put their foot on Nashville's throat and said, no, it's not happening. Like, I don't know. It's, I mean, I might be a little early here, but I'm pretty sure the Cup champion is going to be in the West. Like, I
think that's fair to say. This might be one of the teams that go on.
The speed of play in the East is 2 steps behind Winnipeg and 3 steps behind Vegas. And Winnipeg matches that speed with their physicality. Like, I don't know. This is probably the most fun I've had watching playoff hockey after the Leafs have been eliminated in a little while. Like, these series are just too good to not pay attention to.
Absolutely. And Tree, just to echo that, how good of a playoffs has it been? How exciting has this series has been with Nashville and Winnipeg?
I think it's the perfect series, the perfect Western series. Yin-yang, plus minus, positive and negative charges of the electrons, obviously. The teams just match up. They're opposites and they're very similar at the same time. The forwards match up nicely. The defense match up nicely, and you got 2 of the greatest goalies in the league right now, in Rene and Hellebuck. Both are playing. I'd say, honestly, if I was speaking honestly here, Rene is playing a little below what he can do, and Hellebuck is playing a little above what he should do. So I'm a big fan of physical hockey, and you can't get much more physical than Smashville versus the Peg. Very entertaining to watch. I love every minute of it.
Absolutely. And Hellebuck, and as you said, Hellebuck and Rene being 2 of the 3 finalists for the Vezina Trophy this year. So they're definitely putting their competition out there, and that might be the deciding factor who might win the Vezina Trophy. But there's still another individual who has a chance to win as equally as them. But still a series nonetheless that has been most entertaining. Tomorrow night, being Friday, May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. If everyone knows what that's from. It's Star Wars. If you don't know, I kind of want to slap you. But Tampa Bay Lightning and Boston Bruins go back to in Boston, I apologize, for Game 4. And that's the 2-1 series lead, as I mentioned, for Tampa. Then obviously Vegas and San Jose moving back over to Vegas for Game 5, with Saturday night being Pittsburgh, Washington, and Winnipeg, Nashville for their Game 5s of their series. Now, we could potentially see series as complete by as late as Sunday, but we can also see series extend all the way into Monday and Tuesday. And I'm expecting each series to go the distance to 6 games plus. That's each of the series that are currently in roll here. Game 7s in my prediction here, as we don't like to do too many predictions on the show, but my Game 7s, I got to say Pittsburgh, Washington, and I got to say I'd be silly if I didn't say Winnipeg and Nashville. I feel that the only 6-game series are going to be San Jose, Vegas, and Boston, Tampa, with Tampa coming out of that side and Vegas coming out the other side. Predictions moving forward, got to say that I kind of really want to say, and I'm starting to really like what Washington's giving, but I feel Pittsburgh's going to be the victor in that series. And I feel Winnipeg will be moving on, and we'll be seeing Winnipeg against Vegas. Then we'll have Pittsburgh against Tampa Bay. Those are my Final 4 selections. Fellows, let's get your quick predictions on what you think the Final 4 is going to be before we move on to a Tom Wilson topic with that suspension. And then we got some Leaf discussions and our trivia question.
I mean, I'm going to say Tampa and Pittsburgh go to the East, and Winnipeg, Vegas.
Same thing. Tree?
If Boston can get their head out of their bums, they should be able to take Tampa Bay. I think I truly think they're the better team. Boston, I would love to see some Boston versus Pittsburgh action. And in the West, I just love Vegas too much. So Vegas, and it's a tough one, but Winnipeg. Vegas, Winnipeg. And then final action.
The final action is going to be something that we'll jump to next week. But Vegas is definitely the biggest surprise of this National Hockey League season. That is putting it extremely lightly, in my opinion. But, fellas, you got a comment for that? You got a comment?
Just to touch on the Vegas thing, I mean, number one, I was fascinated last night when I turned on the TV, and lo and behold, who's sitting on the Hockey Night in Canada panel? Brian Burke.
Oh, yeah.
The anti-media himself, Brian Burke, sitting center stage, tie done up, hair slicked back, looks so broken down. Like, just looks like, I can't say it because I'll get myself killed, but so I'm not going to say it, but he looked like a very well-behaved human being on that panel last night. And he was talking about how just Vegas, in comparison to other expansion teams, had it incredibly easy.
Oh, yeah.
Good point. Because they had so many... They just weren't... They had such a vast amount of players to pick from, and they had such a good quality brain trust doing it. So it shouldn't be super surprising to everyone that Vegas made it this far, and it should be exciting to these potential expansion teams like would be Seattle and whatever might come out of Quebec there. But Seattle right now seems to be the one in the forefront. So I mean, Seattle would be looking to try and implement this same model.
But they got to change. They might have to change that expansion format if Vegas wins the Cup, though. We'll leave that topic for another day because that might be humiliating on the NHL's front in terms of how it was. I'm not saying that like Vegas is a very good hockey team. I doubted them coming in this year. I got a friend on the team who's a listener and friend of the show, friend of mine, obviously Colin Miller, who's had a great year in Vegas. But everyone had these guys finishing last. Everyone did, except maybe if you guys said that you weren't too surprised. But if you go to the Vegas odds, it was 201 odds for them to make the playoffs. For them to win the cup, it was above that. And I even said as a joke that we should have took a bet on that for $20 at least. I'd be a couple grand plus switcher, okay? But Vegas is still a bit of ways, still second round here, but they've definitely achieved over everyone else's expectations. But we really think of how fast and hard working this team is. It's not a fluke that they're there. That's all I got to say. Moving forward, Tom Wilson. You asked me the difference between Antoine Reese and Wilson's hit. Nonetheless, Tree, you asked me off air with that, with the size difference between Wilson and Antoine Reese there with the suspension. But a suspension that I feel is warranted, to be honest. I feel that shoulder to the head contact, it was a big hit. You had Kadri get suspended for 3 games. You know, you had the suspensions get laid down in this playoffs with Drew Doughty as well, who wasn't pleased about a suspension in the first round. But at the end of the day, it's still a hit that is not tolerated in hockey anymore. And this topic, fellas, we're going to branch it off into the penalty consistency quickly as well before we go to our Leafs topic here. So we'll make this as quick as we can, obviously. Tom Wilson suspension. First off, Justin, was it warranted? And how can the league get this out of the game if they really want to get it out of the game?
Was it warranted? Yes. I mean, you have to. Kadri got 3 games for what he did, and Marchand's still allowed to skate around out there kissing people and biting linesmen. So, I mean, we could argue for days until we're blue in the face about the NHL getting these calls right, wrong, whatever. Wilson had to get something. He broke the guy's jaw. That's the fact of the matter. And his shenanigans have been going on.
He's not
an innocent cookie in all this. He's just whatever this year's Sean Avery, Matt Cook, whatever you want to call him. He's the flavor of the month right now. Yeah. And I don't know, I guess 3 games is what it is, but he needed something.
So the suspension consistency is definitely there, 100%, as I guess you'll agree. But how can they get this out of hockey if they want to get it out of hockey, or will they never get it out of hockey?
I don't really think you're ever going to get stuff like this out of hockey. As long as human beings are playing a sport, you still have that uncontrolled human element. They're not robots. You can't pre-program them to do something. So as long as there's emotions in sports and people play a game at a high level with high emotions and there's dollars, like that's, I mean, at the end of the day, these guys got to play to keep their paychecks too, right? So,
and he makes a living for what he does.
That's what he does. A guy like Tom Wilson, that's what he's known for. So he's got to earn his keep too. I mean, you got to see both sides of the coin, but you got to try to, if you're the NHL, you got to try and mitigate the damages. That's
absolutely. Tree, going over to you with that question with, was a suspension warranted? Was it enough games sort of thing? And how can the NHL take this out of the game if they possibly could?
All right. We're talking about hits and dirty hits and clean hits, and this is my wheelhouse. And you said keep it short, but I don't know. When I get going.
In our aspect, keep it short, we'll say.
First and foremost, I'm going to say something that I never thought I'd ever say. I'm going to agree with Jeremy Roenick on this one.
Wow.
Jeremy Roenick, who I hate, by the way.
Ooh, that's a
good word. The word is not strong enough. He said that this is a good, hard hockey hit gone wrong. And I truly believe that, because it was a hard hit. Yes, his shoulder made contact with the jaw, but I don't think it was intended. I think it kind of glanced off the shoulder and then ended up in the jaw. I've seen the slow motion replay. I've seen it in regular speed. It's hard to discern. And I bet you expect me to say that he doesn't deserve 3 games, but Tom Wilson totally deserves 3 games. Not because of the hit, but because of who he is.
So he doesn't deserve more games?
No.
Or is that being
4 games? You could decide on an entire series. Like if somebody in my mind, if you suspend somebody who's been scoring goals and having like a major impact in the series, you physically take him out of an entire series.
Well, what about
the
Antoine
majority.
Reese? No, he's not no huge impact, but he's not playing again this year.
Yeah, I know, and I hate to say this, but welcome to the show. But
Yeah, true.
you could have. You want me to say my true opinions on this?
No, 100%.
He had time to kind of tuck and roll. He did not have to make that a hard hit. He could have. There was time for him to kind of roll away. You got to know who you're hitting. Like back in the day, I got told there are hitters out there and you kind of avoid them. And when you're about to run into somebody who's 4 inches taller than you and 25 pounds heavier than you, you know what? Maybe you don't hit him as hard as you can, and you take the L and kind of hit the boards a little softer. Sorry, man. Like, I'm sorry that he got concussed. I feel bad that he broke his jaw, but bad things happen when you hit big people.
Tree would know. People know they hit you though.
Well, they don't anymore. I can't. But I hate to be victim blaming here, but you don't have to take the big hit every time. And it sucks that he got hurt, but you're never going to tell a big guy not to hit him.
So how do they get it out of
damage
hockey,
control.
though? Do they get it out of hockey?
If you make the game non-body contact.
Oh, yeah, no.
I mean, do you guys remember, like, this is reaching back, but do you remember the games, like, I think they were the first games back from the lockout? I remember people just kind of bumping into each other, and it was, like, some of the worst hockey that's ever been played on television. Like, that's what the hockey's going to be like if you want that hit out of hockey entirely. I'd rather see the hit from behind taken out entirely than...
Oh, there's certain emotions in a game that you cannot fight. And you can know that from the world of hockey. World of baseball, world of football, yeah, definitely. And I feel that at the end of the day, the NHL's not going to get this consistent as we want it to be. There's certain things you can't control and you can't. I don't feel like the NHL's going to be able to control this. They might be able to control the suspension amounts and make that consistent, but they can't control the body contact. You can't take that out of the game. That's what hockey is. You battle. You work. But it was a dirty hit. But
I don't think so.
Like you said, good hit gone wrong is the best way to put it.
I got to agree with Jeremy.
I like that. I say dirty hit in terms of going for the head. Okay, that's it. But again, it was a position. There's a lot of things you got to factor in that, especially being in that heat of the moment in the National Hockey League in the playoffs. People that don't know that feeling can't describe how that feels.
Yeah.
And I want to ask Colin Miller what the emotions are in terms of the game, and I will next time you're on the show, what the differences of emotions are between season and playoffs. But at the end of the day, he's not here to answer that question for me right now, nor is he a guy who's like Tom Wilson either. So two different mentalities there. Players that have that role are going to do their job, and Wilson is doing his job. And this is a guy who's a first-round pick of Washington, came with the OHL, who scored goals and grinded. He did it. He was a feared individual. Fierce and feared individual.
He's good.
And he's a good hockey player. Still, he knows how to put the puck in the net too. And I would still, any team would take him. Any team. If a team told me that they wouldn't take Tom Wilson, I want to get them on the show. I want them to say it out loud. Because they wouldn't, not because they don't want to come on the show. It's just because they would be lying to you. Any team. Wilson fits a Boston Bruin mentality like you wouldn't believe. Okay, that's who I think he fits, or Philadelphia Flyer mentality. But he's a Washington Capital right now, and he's what they need. They also need to win a Stanley Cup eventually one day after choking for the last 10 years. But besides that point, it's to the limit now where these NHL calls are still happening. The game is not really being consistent in the terms of referee calls, but the only consistency has been is that the hits are still occurring and the suspension amounts. And are they fully warranted? That's what can be an argument for another day. Well, for a full discussion. But Justin, let me get your final thoughts on it before we move on to our other topics we're going to touch on.
You're not going to get hitting out of hockey. You're not going to take that element of, I'm air quoting here, violence out of the sport. Like, it makes me mad when we have to hit this threshold where we're talking about, are you ever going to get the violence? Are you ever going to get that out of the sport? If you don't like it, don't watch.
I love it. Who doesn't love it?
I don't mean that in no way, shape, or form is that meant to offend anyone out of this generation of people that are offended by absolutely everything. That's not meant to offend any of you. Okay? It's not. But if you don't like people getting hit and physical contact in sports, then watch the new NFL. Like, that's a fact. Don't ruin hockey. Like, hockey's good where it is. And I honestly think once Don Cherry's not around on TV to rant about stuff like this, the quality of the game is going to go right down the tubes. Like, there's just this, whatever is going on in the world where, and I really don't want to reference, like, get into the pop culture and sports line drawing here, but anyone that agrees with what we said here at the table tonight, watch the Sarcastaball episode of South Park.
Wow, South Park.
Like, it's so fitting for these arguments in sports. That's my statement. That's all I got.
You got a quick one? Can make it quick.
Yeah, I had a quick one. I've calmed down a little bit. I wish two things. If it was a dirty hit, then why wasn't it called a penalty right away? It didn't look dirty in the heat of the moment. Number two, I wish Tom Wilson wasn't such a mad cook so that he could do this hit and then nothing would come of it.
Maybe.
Good stuff. But we'll move on from that because the next topic is going to be just as quick because it's just as much as a debatable topic. What's a penalty in the National Hockey League now? We've discussed before. Last week we discussed this goaltender interference, how they're going to change that. We've discussed that numerous times on the show. But what is a penalty? Look at the OHL game today between the Hounds. That high stick. That's a high stick. Oh, bite his lip. I've done it. Hey, I'll tell you right now. I used to play games when I played junior. I got high stick one time. Okay, I went down. I bit the heck out of my bottom lip. Bit it. And I was bleeding. I was able to spit out blood, and I was able to show the ref I was bleeding. 4-minute minor. We scored 2 goals, and we won the game. And guess what? That game got us into a tiebreaker for first, and we won the tiebreaker. We did ultimately lose in the second round, so Carmen was maybe a bitch. But at the end of the day, I did what I had to do at that moment. This is the OHL Finals. This isn't the NOJHL the regular season. Okay, this isn't any chump Junior B, Junior A game. Okay, and I'm not saying that the guy sold anything. I'm not saying he did. Okay, we put the brakes on that if anyone thinks I'm trying to put someone under the bus. What I'm saying is how referee consistency, not in the OHL, they've been actually, the last couple games I saw at the SR Center have been actually very brutal, to be honest, with a lot of officiating, to be totally honest, in terms of penalties. But overall for the year, I felt it's been pretty good. The NHL, though, where's the physicality in the game that you can't do anymore? You can't do a certain hit. Refs are calling different hits. If it's a side hit, it's boarding. If they go 2 steps instead of 1, it's boarding. It's charging. It's a trip. Kadri is the king at diving. Oh, I stepped on a stick. Whoa, I'm going down. And some ref is smart enough to call him on his bluff and call doubles in terms of offsiding. Thank you very much. They both go to the box. You got 4-on-4 hockey. Or you got some refs that are like, oh, he got tripped. Oh, I heard him fall. The refs are making it. Oh, the refs and the fans, are making a call. I got to put my hand up here. That happens still. Okay, I can tell you that right now, the lot of refs do. I don't know. They don't know. Where can the consistency change in that? Maybe the refs got to mean it. What is a high stick? Obviously, it's easy. Stick goes above the jaw, hits him in the face. That's a high stick. If he's bleeding, that's 4 minutes. Done. Okay, you're done. Hit from behind, you're going at him. And if he's turned already and you hit him from behind, that's a penalty. If you go at him and you're a step away, then he turns, that's not hit from behind. I'm sorry, that is not a hit from behind. When I'm going full speed, I can tell you right now that's one of my pluses in my game, not to be conceded, was speed. Okay? If I'm going for a hit, nor am I charging into him, but I've got some decent speed and I'm getting ready to lay the shoulder down. If I'm looking at him and I see his shoulder and his face, I'm looking at him, that's a clean hit. But if he turns and I hit him from behind, that is not a penalty. If I'm a step away. If I'm 4 steps away, 4 strides, which is a lot, okay, 3 or 4 strides, which is a lot, then it would be a hit from behind. Okay, that is a clear-cut hit from behind. Okay, elbowing, very easy. Gordie Howe. Okay, think about that. Gordie and the Hanson brothers. That's an elbow. Someone does that, hits him in the face. You don't see those. Those are elbows. Okay? Knee. Easy again. You stick out the knee. You know when it's a knee. Can opener that Brian McCabe used to be famous at with the Toronto Maple Leafs. You know when those certain calls. But those trip calls and some of the body checking calls that are called penalties literally blow my mind. And the physicality in the game is not the same that it used to be, and that's fine. The game is evolving. It's different than when I played, when it was back in the 90s, and what it is now. But what can the refs do to get that consistency? I know I just ate up a little bit of our time there when it came to that. but that rant needed to happen. I need to get that out there. Overall, I think the refs need to be more consistent in each league is what I'm saying. They've been okay. They haven't been brutal. They've been improving over the years, but I feel like there's some refs that do more than others and do things better than others. And for somehow, I know everyone's going to do it different, but they have to try to get on the same page, especially when it comes to the goaltender interference. But that's another talk for another day that we've already went to numerous times. But how are they going to improve on the penalty calling in all leagues, in Canada and the United States, Europe, NHL, everything in general?
I mean, in my head, it's simple. And maybe it's not as simple to everyone else because no one has the vast amount of ability to apply logic and reason to situations that I do. That was a joke, by the way. But I really think it starts with simplifying the rule book. Like, every year you have these meetings, and it honest to God seems like on whatever sports program you're watching in the morning while you're eating your cereal, there's some sort of NHL safety meeting every 3 weeks. And they're going through and they're coming up with these rules and this and that. And like the referees are, it's like in the Encyclopedia Britannica they're going through, trying to decipher the rule book. Like, when the game was simpler, there was this, it just, I don't know, you overcomplicate these things and you expect these referees to know absolutely every aspect of the rule book to be able to call on every specific scenario. You need to simplify the rules, and you need to take away a lot of the replay. A lot of this stuff has to be called at game speed, and if you can't call it at game speed, then don't call it. The end.
Like that treat? You got like a 20-second thought on that? I know, or like you get a quick little thing, got a quick thought?
I can do it. As Mr. Hykel was saying, it's a tough pill to swallow, but the refs are only human. This is a very difficult thing to do. Heat of the moment. And just have the best ref in the playoffs and hope they do the best. They're going to miss some stuff, but hopefully consistency is key and pick the best ones to do the most important games.
Like that, short and sweet and to the point. That was a good rant, fellas. That was good. Like that. But we'll save that topic again when we have a bit more time. Got the producers in the air telling me to try to speed things up on this third part of the show. It's Dave McCaig alongside Justin Hykel. Almost called you Hikwa. I don't know what that is. Dave McCaig and Justin Hykel. Sorry, I'll do that. Rewind. And in front of me, got Andrew Nathan, a.k.a. Tree. And we're here live at Boston Pizza Sault Ste. Marie, where it's after 9 p.m. for their daily specials, as you heard in our sponsorship commercials. $4 bar rails, $9 schooners, and half price off appetizers here at Boston Pizza Sault Ste. Marie every day after 9 p.m. We have two more things to get to, guys. We're not doing a multiple choice segment here tonight, just based on time. We're going to discuss the Maple Leafs in terms of some rumors that were brought up, and we're also going to have our trivia question. So the trivia question will conclude the show. So guess what that leaves us to talk to? Of course, Justin, our Toronto Maple Leafs have been a week removed from the National Hockey League season/playoffs. They, Bozak, JVR, and the boys are having fun, I guess, putting arms around each other and having a blast and enjoying the offseason thus far. Now, obviously not thinking about their contract extensions at this current time, but hey, that's fine. That's the life. That's the way it goes. I'm not chirping them for that at all. But the Leafs are not in the second round, as they had a much opportunity to get there and much chance to get there, but they got defeated in the third period by a much hungrier team, the Boston Bruins. But nonetheless, we don't have to get to that playoff series. We already ranted about that last week on the Game Sports Show Thursday edition. The big thing I want to discuss today, Lou Lamoriello. And we did touch on this, but Lou Lamoriello has stepped away, and we had, people got Dubas and Mark Hunter pegged in for those positions. I do. You do, Justin, too. Okay, they brought in Lou to groom Kyle, was the way. Kyle was told Colorado no and stayed with Toronto, obviously for this reason, in my opinion. That's what basic math would state. Okay, he won't tell me that personally, but trying to get him on the show, but obviously he can't tell me that. Okay, Toronto, if he told me that, and I say that on the show, our popularity would go from almost 10,000 listeners to probably 6.5 million listeners if I was able to say that on media, because the Toronto media would eat me up. So, and we would probably lose a friend of the show. So at the end of the day, Mark Hunter or Dubas is still my forefront runners by 1,000%. And I think it should be Dubas, as Hunter does not want to be a GM. He has said that. He likes the role that he's in. He's able to draft guys, stay under the radar, make good money, stay with his family. He's a very family-oriented guy. Dubas has been primed and ready to be an NHL general manager. He is ready, and I think he is ready. He's quickly groomed. He's smart. He's a boy genius. Young GMs are the way of this league now, and he has a good team to take over right now. Perfect position for him to take over. It's not like he has to rebuild this entire team like Lou and they had to do as a team. This team's in a good position to make a run and be a good team for the next 10 years. So he's in a good spot, and I think he is going to be the GM of this team at the end of the day. But some interesting rumors surfaced today. From the Boston CLNS News, I believe correct was the correct quote. I know I'll get told if I'm incorrect, but rumors reported that Shanahan has reached out to Tampa Bay Lightning general manager Steve Yzerman. Now listen, before I get comments from Justin and Tree, I want to say this right now. We're not typical Leaf fans, and I'm sorry to my fellow Leaf fans. We are unrealistic. We think we're taking Nick Lindstrom out of retirement, Bobby Orr, and we feel like we're going to get Grant Fuhr to come back up Frederick Anderson next year or something silly like that. But you know what? That is what Leaf fans would be thinking. Okay, now we hear about this with Steve Yzerman. We're thinking, oh, here we go again. Are we signing Tavares too? Are we getting Stamkos in this trade too? Like, are we trading Dubas for Yzerman? No. Listen, I'll tell you right now that Shanahan and Yzerman are close friends. Okay, that is a certainty. They played with each other on Detroit. They won cups together. They're friends. Unless there's something behind the scenes in the hockey world, and my hockey friends know what I'm talking about, that something happened maybe, then maybe they're not friends. But I'm not making those accusations, so obviously that's not true. They're friends. Shanahan would be a fool not to see what his options are. Listen, I work in human resources outside of doing radio. When you interview applicants for a job, you don't just interview one person unless you only have one applicant. You take from a pool, you see what's out there. You interview people from other organizations that have applied or might have interest. That's the way it goes in the world of business in general. So at the end of the day, Yzerman has been rumored. The Leafs have reached out to him. And I read an interesting comment. One fan said how this typical Leaf fan BS, as I just said, which I agree it is, because I feel it is far-fetched. But there's another comment that said this. Shanahan, quotes, Steve, do you want to come GM the Toronto Maple Leafs? Yzerman said this. Why would I leave Tampa Bay to come, a team that I built, and come to Toronto? And this is a fan saying this. This is not actual quotes. Shanahan said, I'll give you $100 million for 7 years. Yzerman went, okay. That's what the fan said. Listen, I agree with money talks, but I also believe in loyalty, and Yzerman's a very true professional. Okay, but if he was the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs, I'll tell you the Leafs would have the best GM in hockey. They would. He is the best GM in hockey, flat out right now. But they have someone else up and coming who is the opportunity to be the next best GM. Two guys, Mark Hunter and Kyle Dubas. More so Kyle Dubas, I think, could be a better GM because I think Hunter likes to hide under the radar, so I like that. But Justin, we're going to get to the point of this point. Yzerman going to the Leafs, is that far-fetched? First off, and let's be true Leaf fans here in terms of being realistic, not the ones that think we're going to sign Tavares, Gretzky, and Lindstrom and all the guys this year and win the Cup in 2019, which I hope we do. We have a chance, but I'm just saying that let's be realistic here. I feel that there is an opportunity for us to get Yzerman. I feel that it truly is. Are they going to get him? No. Opportunity means that they're going to reach out to him and offer him, and then he's just going to say no. That's how it's going to go, in my opinion. I don't mean the opportunity that they're going to take him, but is it far-fetched? Justin, I'll get your comment. And what do you make of this article and rumor?
I mean, I think this is pretty standard Toronto media manufacturing a non-story. I really do. Like, this stinks so badly of this, it's not even funny. Yeah. Like, Steve Simmons is probably sitting at home somewhere, typed this up under some Twitter alias that's not, it's at not Steve Simmons or something. Like, that's how badly I think this reeks. But to be completely honest, if you just broke this down into a human relationship perspective, if your close friend, say, me and you, I've just been knocked out of the playoffs, your team is still relatively successful and in the playoffs, just on a friend-to-friend level, is it cool for me to plant that seed in the back of your head while your team is still in the playoffs?
Not cool, no.
Would you do that?
No, as professional.
Because I wouldn't.
No, you'd wait till after.
And I'm not professional in the slightest. So, you know, I just don't see on a human level where that would have possibly happened. Now, I'm going to throw a real mind bender in here for you, and what I actually do think might be a thing. The Leafs have somehow still managed to keep Cliff Fletcher around. And I don't know if a lot of people have noticed that, if like it's just like the Milton from Office Space thing, where he's just been there. but his son has been recently removed from his job in Minnesota.
He wouldn't get it over Dubas.
I'm not saying that he is or that he isn't. But you also
bias, I guess.
You also have to factor in that the NHL is very similar to the city in which we reside, in that it's an old boys club. And so that people are going to get jobs. People are going to get jobs above other people, not based on their qualifications, just based on they're more comfortable with that name. Why is Rick Dudley a general manager in Carolina all of a sudden? He was the capologist who was going to fix the Toronto Maple Leafs for Brian Burke, and look where that is. Now this whole conversation stemmed from based on our new capologist, who's actually fixing things. I think that right now there's a bit of an issue with, okay, we wanted to bring Dubas in, but now there's a little, we want to bump him up. There's a little hesitation because the NHL hasn't really responded fantastically to the, young GM protege in Arizona. Chalk has made a lot of moves where it looks like other general managers have taken advantage of him. And so maybe there's a little bit of cold feet on this. Maybe there's, I don't know. I feel like Lou was there to bring some credibility and some professionalism
and teach them
and rule more so with an iron fist. Bring some organization to that organization, if that makes sense. Before the reins were handed off, and now we're in that we don't know transition period.
We're also a team that's going for the cup now, almost.
Well, and
we're
that's
ahead of the Shannon plan. I know, but yeah.
But we've got some big contract negotiations coming up.
Some big ones.
And I don't necessarily know that you want a rookie general manager helming that. That's all. I don't think Yzerman's a thing. I really don't.
No.
I think it's going to be even maybe Mark Hunter for 2 years, and then you see Hunter go somewhere else. And then Dubas takes over. But I think being a general manager in the NHL is a lifelong learning process. If Lou Lamoriello's taught us anything.
Why doesn't Shanahan take the reins?
Some people are meant to be a general manager and some people aren't.
He's the president. Yeah, I guess.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's you work in HR. You know that. Some people are built to be managers and some people aren't.
Yeah.
It's just how it goes. And maybe Shanahan knows that.
Very good points. Tree.
Yo.
Yzerman, a thing. A thing?
Do I think it happened? Yes. I think Shanahan unprofessionally said, hey, I want it. It could have been as light as, hey, let's talk after your postseason is all done. I think that may have gotten said. And I think Nashville just went up. PK still is celebrating like only PK can. So I think Shanahan reached out to Yzerman to maybe discuss something. And then I think media just took this and ran with it because it's got all the characteristics of a Toronto Rainbow Road.
From Boston, right?
Yeah, that isn't if it's coming from Boston, this is like a false flag operation of let's just give them dreams so we can see them cry when it doesn't come to fruition. Because that's a very Boston thing. I won't deny that. But I think that's all it is. I think it's two friends kind of acknowledging that I need help. You're the best person for the job. The best. Hands down, one of the greatest hockey minds right now, if not ever. If we want to go top 5, I think Yzerman's at least number 5. The guy's a robot. He's a winner. He's a winner. In every level, every capacity, he's a winner. I'm a big fan of Steve Yzerman, if you can't tell. Okay, that being said, I think Yzerman is too loyal to move away from anything that he touches. He'll leave when he's good and ready, and the decision will be his, not anybody else's. So saying that, I think he's going to stay right where he is, and I think they're going to bring in somebody to groom Dubas a little bit more, and then maybe get Dubas in there in, like, I'm going to say 5 more years, honestly.
Make it a little bit longer. Lou Lamoriello, though, is staying aboard as an advisor.
For 4 years.
For 4 years. Now, does that mean he's looking for other jobs? Maybe, but he had the best job in the world, being the GM of the Leafs. Maybe he is ready to move on and pass on the mantle, and that's what it seems like it is going to be. And it's, as you were speaking, as you said, that the Nashville Predators have taken a 2-0 lead over the Winnipeg Jets. PK Subban scoring and celebrating in fashion that you would not believe. Really keeping your tabs in on that game before we conclude the show. But as I was saying, definitely interesting what the Leafs offseason is going to bring. You have JVR, who I feel is not going to be re-signed, or Bozak. I'm saying keep an eye on Rick Nash. I know people shake their heads, and the reason why is because he's going to be affordable and he's a veteran. The Leafs will also look at Tavares and not get him because they can't afford him in the future. Unless he signs a 1-year, $15 million deal, then okay, then fine. But don't forget who else is a free agent this year, Joe Thornton. Maybe he'll actually come here for his last year. Maybe that'll actually happen this year, because now you're allowed beards in Toronto now that Lou's out of the system. But I'm just reaching out. I'm reaching out to different things. The thing is, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. It's not even up front. Defense needs to be addressed. You have to go maybe after guys on free agency for defense. We said this time and time again. We don't have to dive into this old. We could take a break from talking about the Leafs decor for 1 week, as I've talked about it every day for the past two years. But adjustments need to be made. So having a GM in there that's experienced, like you said, Justin, makes sense. You need a defenseman that is a defenseman. Yes, you need one of those. But you need a GM who's going to come in there, who's experienced, who can help those negotiations bring down the value dollars. Dubas, I have much respect for you and can't wait till I eventually get you on the show. But I'm saying if I hear from Lou Lamoriello first, opposed to yourself, you being a younger GM, I would try to get you for more money. But let's not forget, you have learned from the best. One of the best, Lou Lamoriello. So, and Dubas is quite the intelligent boy genius, man. So we don't know what comes out of those ends. I've never been in a negotiation in an NHL room. I didn't make it that far in my hockey career, or in any aspect. So, tell you right now, it's going to be interesting to see what the GM hunt comes down to with the off season. Fast approaching, as it's still playoff hockey going on in the National Hockey League, and some exciting hockey at that. So we're going to stick to talking about that as the show goes forward, obviously, with a little bit of Leafs off-season edition as well, because we have a lot of Leaf fans out there that follow the team. What do you think? What are the Leafs getting as a GM? How ludicrous is that article about Steve Yzerman possibly going to the Leafs? I want to get your feedback on that for sure. Fellas, we're going to go to one last thing here. It's a trivia question. We've taken a couple weeks off the trivia question. We had the wrong answers from the last one. Let's hope we get the right answers this one. We're going to make it a little bit more difficult, though. You're going to actually have to reach out to people to get the right answer for this question. And this question comes from you, courtesy of Boston Pizza, obviously, Sault Ste. Marie, but Justin Hykel, one of our own. The question is, how much is the amount of a sellout at the SR Center? What is the total amount when the SR Center in Sault Ste. Marie is sold out? That includes everything, may I add. Send me the exact amount. How can you get this answer? I will give you a tip. It's not online. You'll have to do your research by simply either sending a message or looking on a specific website. That's all I have to say. The research is not just by typing in on Google. You actually have to dissect and potentially look into the arena's properties. And where can you find the arena's properties? Google has everything. But let me tell you, if you tell me your answer and you tell me your source, if you got your answer that's outside of the internet, I will throw in an extra $25 gift card courtesy of Boston Pizza. So again, the question is, how many is the amount of when the SR Center sold out? What is the total amount? You give me the answer. Tell me your source where you got the answer. And if it's somebody of a name with proof of information of sorts, I will throw in an extra $25 gift card courtesy of Boston Pizza on top of your already prize given courtesy of Boston Pizza. You can answer the question by going to the Game Sports Show, SSM@gmail.com. Again, the Game Sports Show, ssm@gmail.com. You can also comment on the Facebook post of the show or the Podbean page show, which is thegamesportshow.podbean.com. You can also go to www.thegamesportshow.com, and you can go to Podbean that way, or you can comment on the show on the website. Fellas, before I wrap up the show completely, I want to say thanks to our special guest tonight, one of the casual employees of the Game Sports Show, Andrew Nathan Tree. Thanks for coming on by. It was a blast.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
It's always good to have you on, my man, but you need a better hat. I had to throw a jab. We lost them the first round. Leafs did. Justin, my pal, you and I have a date on Saturday, and it's you and me, bud. You and me alone. No, that's weird. I'm sorry. I wasn't make that more weird, but I stopped. It was under the stars having. What would Tiana think of that?
As long as you're buying drinks, I guess I'm okay. But
would Tiana care? You think?
I don't know. I mean, I'm
gonna ask her.
You're gonna have to talk to her about that one.
Okay, I'm sure she'd be open to it.
I'm really uncomfortable.
I like that. Justin, you and I will be at the Greyhound game on Saturday, and we'll be at the rest of the OHL Finals there with our media access for the Game Sports Show. Come up and see us, talk to us about the Hound Series. Justin, thanks for coming on by. I will see you on Saturday, and we'll be next week, Wednesday and Thursday, Sports Center and at Boston Pizza.
Apparently, it's a date.
Love it. He went with it. Love it. I want to give a special shout-out to Aaron Grisdak, GM of Boston Pizza here in Sault Ste. Marie. They bring her beer, Mitch Wilson and Lauren, one of the waitresses here. The great staff. It's been a busy night here at Boston Pizza. After the daily specials, 9 p.m., where you can come in and enjoy $4 bar rails, $9 schooners, and 50% off appetizers. Great time here at Boston Pizza, as always. A little bit of an extended version of the show, as yesterday was a shortened version, and been quite a couple short versions the last couple weeks of the show, so it's good to have a longer one in there, even though last week's was a little bit longer, but we had to make up for the other shorter ones the past few weeks. But we do plan next week to have some guests on the show. We have a lot of rescheduling. We apologize to listeners in terms of some guests I'm hoping to get on, Jamie Henderson and Brett Finley. We do know that we're going to have Greg Hartsburg coming on the show sometime this month as well. So, and Jordan Nolan, whom is back in town, we plan to have on the show as well. So you have to tune in. It'll be on a day-by-day basis. That's what the thing is. The schedule is here in the Soo. When people come home from their long seasons, it's kind of a last-minute thing. So we'll have them on, and just make sure you tune into our Instagram page, which is at The Game Sports Show, or on our Twitter access page through Scott Nason with S Nason 2013, or my Facebook page, David McCaig, to follow, or the website as well, which again is www.thegamesportshow.com. Make sure you look at the website. Merchandise and logo launch this week. Buy that merchandise on behalf of Northern Critters in Need and Big Brother Big Sister. The shirts will be released this week, and they'll be selling with the cost of the shirt going towards those charities. Agenda of the show will be back at the Wicked Sister. It'll be Mondays. It will be changing to Tuesdays for the summer in terms of Scott Nason's umpiring. Myself and Jamie and possibly Justin will be at the Sports Center Bar and Grill next Wednesday, and we're back here live at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, next Thursday. Again, trivia question: how many seats is the amount sold out at the SR Center? Give me your answer, and also give me your source of your answer. And if it's a person that told you the answer, you had to do a lot of research, we could throw in an extra $25 gift card at Boston Pizza on top of your prize that you would win. So, fellas, it's going to do it for here tonight for the Game Sports Show. Now, for the conclusion of the show, keep your stick on the ice, swing your bat, catch a touchdown, drain your threes, and shoot your shots. Booyah.